Good morning, everybody. It's Erin here. How are you doing? So it's Sunday morning, Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. So this is for your week ahead. For those of you who have been following me through the years, I've done art channeling. And I go in and out of it. So what I'm going to be doing now is providing you weekly art channeling, but this is not for the archetypal signatures right now. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm providing you intuitive selection. So what I want you to do, this is for your own, tapping into your own guidance structure for the week ahead. So I want you to just tap into the numbers. And right now this is pretty down and dirty, but it's casual. But yeah, so go ahead and tap into 1, 2, or 3, right? So just feel into that. Now, once your knowing makes a connection with one of those numbers, excellent. You can watch this entire video and watch me kind of draw out these different images, but I want you to really tune into 1, 2, or 3. So if you need more time, I'm going to start drawing now. So if you need more time to select, put this video on pause, and then I'll probably put like timestamps below the video so you can go and just watch the one that you've selected. But I really urge you to select one. Oftentimes people don't really select and they'll watch and they'll, a couple of them really connected. I want you to really focus and pick one, because that will give you the most distinct growth edge, the maturity point, the themes that you're working out for this week ahead. Okay, this is your inner knowing connecting with the correct message. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Again, put the video on pause and move ahead if you need to. And I'm going to tap in. So I'm going to be a little bit quiet here. This is a little bit of a Sunday morning meditation process here, okay? I'm going to move this over to the side slightly, making sure everything is in camera. Okay. All right. So let me just tap in here for a minute. I didn't bring any tissues with me, so it's going to be a messy process, but that's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I hope you can see everything. Okay, I think you can, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, number 1, so I'm going to talk about you first. This is going to be a complete, this is the first time I'm doing this kind of art channeling where I'm doing the intuitive pull. We're going to just talk about it right now, and then we're going to move on to the other 2. So with regard, if you selected number 1, okay, so what happens is we're just bringing forward form. So as it's called, it's pushing through, right? And so, archetypal imagery. We have water here, but the first line that came, we want to start with looking at the first line that came. The first line that came was a squiggle upward, right? So for this week, part of your themes for this week and part of your growth edges, because life operates in cohort with you. You're participating in your life process here. The proper things are occurring to push you accordingly to grow. So what we have here is upward movement. There's almost like a start and stop. You're moving, you're maybe stepping back slightly. You're moving, but there's the upward motion. Now, is that upward motion in a relationship dynamic, in a creative project, in the career moves that you're making? Is it with regards to family dynamics that you're dealing with? Is it with regards to whatever it is? Whatever projects or things that you're moving, there is movement upward or the attempt to do that, okay? But there's something that occurs this week. So what's going to happen? Well, what I'm seeing here, if we're looking at, what's coming through, there's some sort of, let's say, challenge or obstacle, some sort of a block. And what I see here is that it's going to create some ball of anger within you. There's going to be something and there's going to be an externalized block, right? So you're moving with a project. You're coming from a place of desire here, everybody. This is water. So this week, you're coming from a place of desire, something that matters to you, something that has meaning for you. This is your moon. So you're moving in the direction of the desire. There's some sort of an obstacle. It's creating some anger this week. And indeed, that anger, see what the lesson is for you this week is that anger is not going to get you anywhere, because the anger is pointing you towards something that is dissonant or something that you're needing to see and recognize, right? The anger is what? Identify the anger. Identify it. The anger is what? I can never get anywhere. I can never achieve. I'm never allowed. It never happens. Life never shows up for me. I'm never supported. What is it? Your goal this week is to find the root. Find the root, because what's happening is there's more blocks. And so one thing that's going to what I see is going to have to be recognized is that there's nothing wrong with your desire about forward movement. You're following the call. You're heeding the call. This is a good thing. But something about it is not resonant. Something about it is not aligned. The anger is the block, but the block is process that's correct. What is the block about? Either it's not the right time, you haven't assimilated enough knowledge, there's more to learn, there's more aspects to the thing that is needing to be birthed. There's nothing to get angry about here. It's simply not the time, or it's not the right iteration of the thing that you're manifesting. There's no need to get angry, but follow the anger. The anger is talking to you. It needs to be honored. The anger is pointing you toward the inner frustration, right? So the thing is here too, there's these dotted lines here below the block. So it's almost like what I see is that you're moving from the place of watery desire, the truth of what you want to bring forward. You're moving that forward. And then there's like these dotted lines that kind of almost split. So you're following the desire, but there's something with this loop. Something happens this week with regards to the desire where you start to question it. Here, there seems to be something about insecurity that develops. There's a lack of confidence in what you're doing. You're starting to second guess yourself. And then you meet a slight obstacle. And then you start to, I don't know, it's like your mind starts to go in different places here. Oh, but I want to do this and this and this and this. But it's created by the obstacle. It's like, oh, I don't quite have the money to do the thing to make that happen. So there's what I'm saying is you have the desire, you move forward, there's a bit of self-doubt and insecurity that develops. You meet up with some kind of not too big of an obstacle, just something, some kind of block that you're perceiving as something that's creating the big anger narrative that's sourced from the deep story. And it's essentially life is going to block you more because something about the insecurity is causing diffuse threads of something that really it's lost what it was, what the original desire. I hope that makes sense. There's also lines coming down here. This could be grief, sadness, because often with anger, what happens is the other side of it is sadness, or what emerges is sadness and grief. And often underneath sadness and grief is anger, right? So they can interact, they interchange positions. And what I see here is maybe, who knows, maybe this is grief or tears, maybe this is a sense of defeat. But keep in mind, this is a potential theme that's emerging for you this week, but there's growth, there's clarity to be had here, all is well. Use the anger, see what it is, honor it, don't deny it. You want to see it. Anger is part of our natural processing, and it's an information system. So you're going to have to listen to what the anger is about. Oh, wow, isn't that interesting? I'm really furious. I'm infuriated about the block and then the other block. There's all these blocks. I can never get what I want, whatever it is for you. So identify the root, okay? All right, let's move on to number 2. Okay, beauties. So let's take a look at this. So this is complete for number 2. Okay. Let me make sure that you can see everything. Yep. Okay. Okay, so we started with this kind of arc, this big, juicy, thick flow, right? There's a big flow here. Now the flow is kind of going downward. It's spiraling downward, but this is there's a sense of optimism here. There's a bit of black, though. You're going to notice that what the imagining was with the image inside this loop, this enclosure, because you're going to notice that the motion is down, up, over, and down again, but this enclosure here of the spiral has something within it, right? So there is this kind of movement, And the movement seems to go from the smiley face, because ultimately what happened up here was smiley face with some sort of a bright yellow mohawk. Okay, so whatever that means, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I mean, it certainly is looking like the mindset, right? The mind, the third eye, but also the cognition, the brain itself. There's more of an optimistic nature this week, or you could be feeling more optimistic. You're looking forward in a more joyful way. But there's something here about some level of optimistic orientation of mind that is activating motion, movement, right? Organic motion and movement, right? Yet there's something within it. So there's a shadow component here. And I have to say, we're going to talk about the duck, because there's an aspect of duck that emerged. I have to tell you what I'm saying. For those of you that selected number 2, this is what I want to say to you. There's everything correct with having an optimistic attitude, for goodness sake. I mean, it's wonderful, right? But you have to understand that for you, if you've selected number 2, there is something very specific that you're going to need to be mindful of and pay attention to. There can be a mask here about the actions that you take, the behavior that you engage in, the energetic drivers that motivate you, how you move in this world. You can have the mask this week of positivity, but within your action set, seemingly organic action set, there can be a bit of a weight in there. Now, the entirety of this sphere is not filled. There's about a third of it, let's say, that's filled, a quarter of it, right? But there is this kind of weighty aspect. There's a shadowed component of the mask that you put on that insists on putting the shiny face onto the world that is misaligned. Why? Because it's based in a shadow aspect. There's a pain body that's driving the positive facade, or even the positive insistence, right? The attitude being consistent. What we have up here is that this is kind of the public face. It's up here at the top, oriented with the MC of the chart. So there's this kind of public component of the facade, the mask, the joy, the optimism, being kind of fired up and very enthusiastic and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Just, exciting for people and excitable. And, just there's a lot of joy here. But what's the prompting for that? What else is there? What are you not paying attention to? What is the light worker that you are trying to present to the world? What you attend to, or what you assess to be the spiritual face, right? I have it all together. I'm joyful in this. I'm this and that, whatever it is. But there's another component here that maybe is not being fully acknowledged. And so this level of disconnect might be coming up for you this week, okay? There's something about, keep in mind, if you watch my astrological videos for the week, which I hope you all do, because there's tremendous activations going on this week, this month, and for the next 3-month cycle. Very intense. The Aquarian stellium is a process of great rearticulation if we are open to it, if we allow it, if we're willing to see our shadows. Be the truth of this face by incorporating this, right? So there's something coming up this week where you might have to see your darker sides, your wholeness that has woundings, that has negativity, that has, some shame narratives there. It has juice that's there that needs incorporating. But this week, there's something that in your organic dynamic movement as you navigate this week, you're gonna see it or feel it. There's definitely a sense of feeling it, right? Now there's a duck here. Now I think this is a child. So for some of you with children, I think that this is the parent putting on the face. There's a deeper reality inside, and they're doing it for, or they think, the reasoning within the mind is that you're doing it for the child, right? You're showing the happy face for the child. You don't want to, you're doing something. You're presenting yourself in a way that somehow is because of, in your mind, because of the child. You don't want to harm the child. You don't want to influence the child. But what you have to realize is all of this yuck, all of this gunk, all of this shadow inside your action sets, inside your energy system, picked up, okay? Like completely transparently picked up by the child. So it does no good to not be clean, clear, honest, and true with who you are, incorporating all of who you are, and being honest here. So there might be something. Now, this is also a duck. We have this imagery of a duck that emerged here. So what I do get is parent-child, and this public facade and the inner reality, and, you know, there's also a level of innocence here. So I'm going to talk about duck in a second, but there's also a level of innocence here, right? So those of you that don't have children, there's a lot of us that don't have children, right? This can talk about an innocence within you, right? There's a level of true kind of Piscean nature, Neptunian nature, goodness, fairness, justice, lightness, love and compassion and care for other entities and beings and animals and all this kind of stuff too. For some of you too, this is going to involve an animal, okay? So this is going to involve either a child in your role as a parent or animals in your life. But I see too, those of you that have no animals and children, and even those that do, this is also for me speaking about a level of kind of an inherent innocence to who you are. But that inherent innocence is perfect. And it's perfect because it has wounds, it has dark past traumas, it has dark past behaviors, it has things it's ashamed about. Let it out. Let it out. Be all of who you are here, everybody. So there's something about seeing it. There's an innocence and it's okay. You're safe to see it. You're safe to see it, okay? Duck. Now, I don't have my animal book here. Duck. I mean, duck, obviously duck flies, but also swims on water, right? I go and visit my ducks at the river all the time, and they kind of live in these little burrows in the rocks. You know, they have this house near the river. And it's interesting too, because we have the water here connecting with duck. By the way, the duck is also kind of at the in-between between the water and the grass, right? So there's something quite interesting here about the interface. The interface. In fact, that's what I'll say. There's an interface here. This to me is Pluto. This is shadowed component. This is 8th house Pluto aspects. Past, it's also 4th house moon, wounded childhood and stuff aspects. But this is all part of your natural blueprint. All of us have our own wound signatures. But there's an interface here, everybody, right? So the duck is here at the interface between the public persona and maybe even some repressed anger that could be coming up. Or lived experience there. But the interface talks about both and being the balance point between. For you, it's not all about, showing up in one way. It's about incorporating truths about your depths, about how you feel, about what's true for you, about your past, about your stuff, as opposed to, being the person that's always, materially, in your persona, in your expressed physical, this is grass, so this is earth, how you're showing up in a real world way, the material way, the way your face looks, the smile that you put on the face, the way you appear to the world, right? There's a certain appearance here that the bigger picture, the whole picture, the deeper picture, the truer picture needs to be extracted. There's something about this week that you're going to have to deal with that, okay? All right, now let's go on to number 3. Again, let me just move things over a little bit here. There we go. Okay, number 3. Let me make sure the camera's filming. I think everything is fine. Yeah, it looks like it's all fine. Good. Okay, let's see. what I'm seeing here, I'll talk while I'm doing it. What I'm seeing here is that it's both gold, but it's also black. So it's like coal and gold. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay. I guess that's a little orangey, isn't it? I wanted that to be red. You guys get the idea. This is a rainbow is showing up here. Okay. Well, I guess this is my purple. Okay, beauties, let's talk about this one. First of all, is there anything more to come out of here? Okay, let's talk about number 3. So this is kind of interesting because the angles of the wheelbarrow in this case, which it ended up becoming, but the sharp angles were kind of the first imagery that came through for this number 3. So if you selected number 3, there is there's like clarity about taking action. This obviously ended up being the dumping out of things. And for me, it looks like gold coins, but it's mixed with coal. So there's like potentials here. There's potentials with coal, you know, burn it, you have energy. So there's something about leaking. What I get overall with number 3 is that there's an optimistic driver at play. There's a lot of potentials that are felt. There's a lot of generosity that's coming out. There might be some seeds being planted. The coal might indeed represent a seed for energy that you're letting out, that there's a generous outpouring of your gold. There's a generous outpouring of seeds of energy that you're able to provide people. So, but there's clarity here. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is there's clarity with something going on. And the dumping, I wanted to put a person here dumping it out, but there's no room. But you get the idea that you're intentionally dumping it out. That those of you that selected this, you're ready, you're clear, and you're ready to take action to dump out the goods. The goods. And here too, the rainbow came up. And even an idea, you know, that kind of the archetype of the leprechaun as well. So there's something about fortune and optimistic, like, intentionality here, right? So this week could be all colors of the rainbow represented. There's going to be, and you could look at this as all the chakra systems are activated. The arrow upward is bisecting all of the rainbow colors. It is bisecting essentially the chakra system from the base to the crown chakra up and outward, right? So there's this from the base up, there's an outward flow of energy. This could be a lot of Kundalini activation for a lot of you. But it also does indicate that listen, when life is not all fairies and rainbows here, right? So there will be aspects through the week. There is a level of optimism and generosity. There's a level of clarity and energy and intention. There's no question about that. But as you move through the layers, you will have, let's say, aspects. There could be certain logistics that you have to deal with, financial things you have to deal with, willpower issues that you'll deal with, issues of love and compassion and sharing and giving your energy and what that takes, communicating, seeing through that clearer witnessing perspective. There's aspects that you're going to be going through this week, but overall, the energetic of number 3, everybody, is clarity, willful generosity of gold and seeds of energy that's going to aid others, motivation and drive, intentionality, a very strong one too, and all aspects of the body system activated. These are unified. The rainbow itself is a unified archetypal thing. But the intentionality is kind of going up through all of it. Things to deal with. There could even be quite a bit of activity, a bit of busyness this week. That's what I see as well, everybody. So there's going to be a lot to deal with. There's going to be a lot to contend with. But the energetic is let it out. The energetic is generosity. The energetic is intention and optimism, right? Because things lie beyond. And obviously, this particular arrow is pointing upward toward the cosmos, upward toward, outside of the rainbow, outside of the field of the atmosphere of Earth, right? That's what we're having here. So there's definitely this intention to just do the bigger thing, to see the bigger picture, to see long view, to see into your own future, to kind of tap into what you want long term. This is juicy stuff, everybody. I hope that this was helpful for you. What I would say to you all is, for those of you who have not yet, and I'll go ahead, let me put this to the side so you can actually see all of the numbers here together. But for those of you who have not yet seen the astrological analysis for this week, I recommend that you watch it. Okay? All right, everybody. Listen, I send you so much love. Go to my website to learn more about my analysis services and other services, elscott.org, holosynthesis.org. There's a course that's now out there, and it's the stage 1 of another version of the course that's going to be emerging. So if you can't join in this one, there'll be another one coming to life, okay? So all the information is below. Again, everybody, happy Valentine's Day. I send you much love for your week, for your clarity, for your growth, for your wholeness, for your willingness to get honest and clean and clear. All is well. All is well. The anger is perfect. The darkness is perfect. The inspiration is perfect. Make sure it's coming from the right place here. What are the drivers? What are the motivations? All is well. Okay? Much love. Bye, everybody.